YouTube. My name is Mike. Welcome to my brand new channel. I launched this channel for a few reasons. One, after the most recent hearings in Congress on February the 8th, it occurred to me that Washington has become a content-rich environment for reaction videos. Also, my wife has suggested on a few occasions, usually after political rants, that I find some way to channel that. So, what better way to do that on my own YouTube channel? So, honey, I'm channeling it. Now, with that being said, a couple things to note. First, my views tend to be a bit right-leaning. So if you're a left-leaning person, you're probably not going to enjoy my channel all that much. So like, comment, subscribe if you're into masochism and that sort of thing. If you tend to lean to the right, you're probably going to agree with most of what I have to say. So like, comment, subscribe, and welcome to my channel. Now, something else to note. Clearly, I don't have a fancy camera, don't have a fancy mic, don't have a fancy setup around me. I even have that Free Filmora watermark. Oh, it's over there on my video. Well, that's because, frankly, I don't know if this thing's going to have financial viability. And with inflation being as bad as it is, thanks, Brandon, I don't want to put money toward this project just yet. But like, comment, subscribe if you enjoy the content, and maybe I will get those things eventually. So, where do we start today? Well, we're going to start today with everybody's favorite Congresswoman, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, also known as AOC. Let's hear what she has to say.
Here's the deal. Before I even get into my questions, I think that the story here with the Washington Post reporting is that what they're saying right here, when the New York Post first reported in October 2020 that it had obtained contents of a laptop computer allegedly owned by Joe Biden's son Hunter, there was an immediate...
Allegedly owned by Hunter. That hasn't been established at this point numerous times, including by his own attorney, who then backtracked later. But yeah, let's move on.
Roadblock faced by other news outlets that hoped to corroborate reporting, as many did. The newspaper wasn't sharing what it obtained. New York Post had this alleged information and was trying to publish it without any corroboration.
Alleged information. Is it information or not information? Notice how she keeps using the word alleged. It's not alleged, it's information. Clearly, you're trying to, cover something up here.
Without any backup information. They were trying to publish it to Twitter. Twitter did not let them, and now they were upset.
Without any backup information. Note, the FBI had the laptop for some period of time, a significant period of time, before all of this transpired. And James Baker was on the payroll at Twitter. They could have very easily verified that it was legit. They didn't want to.
I believe that political operatives who sought to inject explosive disinformation with the Washington Post couldn't get away with it. And now they're livid. And they want the ability to do it again.
They're livid? AOC, Congresswoman, you appear livid. Listen to yourself for a moment. Who's livid? You're livid.
They want the ability to inject this again. So they've dragged a social media platform here in Congress. They're weaponizing the use of this committee so that they can do it again. A whole hearing about a 24-hour hiccup in a right-wing political operation. That is why we are here right now. And it's just an abuse of public resources, an abuse of public time. We could be talking about healthcare. We could be talking about bringing down the cost of prescription drugs. We could be talking about abortion rights, civil rights, voting rights. But instead, we're talking about Hunter Biden's half-fake laptop story. I mean, this is an embarrassment.
You should know a lot about embarrassments. Note how the second thing she listed there, healthcare was the first thing, and I totally agree, healthcare is important. However, then she goes to abortion. Congresswoman, the Supreme Court overturned Roe and sent it back to the states, which they should have done. Roe was an overreach by the Supreme Court when it was decided. All right, I've had about enough of AOC. I can only take so much of her before it starts to hurt my head. So we're going to move on to one other clip. These were the two clips that really kind of sparked me to think, wow, I can launch a channel here pretty easily and comment on these things. The second one is actually, and it's sheepishly, I have to admit, my congressman, Jamie Raskin. I live in his district. Ugh. Of note, I didn't vote for the guy, so that for what it's worth. Now, Congressman Raskin is always a pleasure, so let's hear what he has to say.
Thank you kindly, Mr. Chairman. Last night in his State of the Union address, over all the heckling, President Biden reviewed significant achievements his administration and congressional Democrats are delivering for the American people. The lowest unemployment rate in over 50 years, a manufacturing boom in clean energy, semiconductors, and infrastructure.
So, lowest unemployment rate, those numbers are actually doctored because they're seasonally adjusted. Anybody with any sense can look at the job market out there right now and understand that we are in deep trouble. Things are not good, but they use these puffed up numbers. The other thing is on the manufacturing, that could be a video unto itself. So I'm not even going to touch that right now. So we've already got a couple lies from Congressman Raskin. Let's see what else he has to say.
Expanding health care for veterans and lowering prescription drug costs for seniors and people with diabetes.
Lowering prescription drug costs for people with diabetes. So insulin, the thing that Biden mentioned in the State of the Union about capping the cost at $35 for insulin. You know who actually brought that about, started that whole process? Donald J. Trump. Had nothing to do with congressional Democrats or Joe Biden. So he keeps on lying, but continue, Congressman.
Beating the opioid epidemic and addressing our national mental health crisis.
He should know something about mental health crises. He's mental. And in terms of the opioid epidemic, might you be talking about fentanyl that's flooding across the southern border that's largely unsecured, and we're setting records on migrants and gotaways, and it's porous, it's wide open. Who's at fault for that? Why are the drugs flowing across the border?
Historic action on climate change. But this morning, we return not to focus on advancing this robust agenda of progress, but instead to take up an authentically trivial pursuit, all based on the obsessive victimology of right-wing politics in America.
A trivial pursuit. Okay, so here we are at the crux of it. Notice that both Raskin and AOC, he called it a trivial pursuit. She said the hearing was pointless. There were other things that we should be focused on. You know what this hearing is really about? It's about suppression of freedom of speech. The Bill of Rights, the First Amendment, free speech, is the First Amendment for a reason. The framers intended it that way. It is the most important of the rights enshrined in the Bill of Rights. Without it, nothing else really matters. So to call it a trivial pursuit is somewhat laughable. These folks' constituents, in this case, I'm one of them, should be livid, to use Ocasio-Cortez's term, that they don't see this as being important, that the collusion, which is a word they really love, there was collusion in this case between the FBI and Twitter, and mind you, all of the other social media companies as well. That collusion was intended to, one, suppress the free speech of Americans, which is a violation of the Constitution, which is certainly within the purview of the federal government, and to influence an election, which, if you don't think there was an influence in the 2020 election as a product of this, then you are a fool, because there clearly was. A large number of voters admitted that their votes would have been changed had they known about this story.
The majority has called a hearing to revisit a 2-year-old story about a private editorial decision by Twitter not to allow links to a single New York Post article made for a 2-day period that had no discernible influence on anyone or anything.
Okay, I can only take so much of these people. 2-year-old story, yes. Is it important though? Yes. Did the previous Congress visit this? No. Why? Well, because the Democrats were in charge, because they were in agreement with that suppression of Americans' free speech. So I can't play any more of this, but if you like the channel, if you like the content, like, comment, subscribe. If you don't, you're probably on the left, and I really don't care if you like it or not. That's it for now. Ciao.